Hello everyone. Today we have to discuss about challenges and opportunity of nanomedicine. Okay, so we have to discuss about nanobiotechnology. Then there has been a revolution in nanotechnology and nanomedicine. Okay, in the field of nanobiotechnology. Okay, since 1980, and there has been a remarkable increase in approved nano-based pharmaceutical products. Okay, and these novel nano-based system can either be therapeutic agent themselves or some other vehicles to carry different active pharmaceutical agent into a specific part of body in a targeted drug delivery system. And currently marketed nanostructure include nanocrystal, liposome, lipid nanoparticle, polyethylene glycolated polymer nanodrug, okay, protein-based nanoparticles, metal-based nanoparticles. Okay, so a range of issues must be addressed in the development of these nanostructure and ethics, market size, possibility of market failure, cost, commercial development are some of the topic which are on the discussion level. And after passing all the ethical and biological assessment and satisfying the investors as to future profitability, only a handful of these nanoformulation successfully obtained marketing approval, and even a range of nanomedicine that have received regulatory approval and are marketed. Okay, even with has some problem like ethical problem, cost effectiveness, commercial development, and possible market failure sometimes. Okay, so even we estimate the global nanomedicine market size and future growth. Okay, so today we have to summarize the different approved nano formulation on the market that are available and briefly cover the challenges and future outlook. These are the learning objective of today's lecture: to know about the development of nanopharmaceuticals, and to understand present status of ethics of nanopharmaceuticals, and to know about the regulations for approving nanopharmaceuticals, okay, including FDA rules and regulations. So first of all, we have to discuss about nanomedicine or nanobiotechnology. So if we talk about the term nanotechnology, so first came to wide public prominence in 1986 in the book that written by the Eric Drexler entitled Engine of Creation, the coming era of nanotechnology. And the concept was based on an idea first propounded by Nobel laureate Richard Feynman in his presentation okay, in 1959 that entitled There Are Plenty of Room at the Bottom. And the first proposed applications of nanotechnology involve chemical synthesis by the application of nanoscale machines and information storage at the atomic level. Since then, nanotechnology has been applied in diverse fields such as wastewater treatment, textile industry, high performance battery, biology, and medicine. Okay. So, in medical applications, nanotechnology has led to a significant improvement in cancer therapy, diagnostics, imaging of disease, okay, and tissue engineering, and most focusing on the drug and gene delivery system. Okay, so today a wide variety of applications of nanotechnology in biomedical science and healthcare are available, and these all collectively called nanomedicine, and it has a broad growth area of nanotechnology. And over the past few decades, the US FDA has approved commercialization of 100 nanomedicine applications and products and this shows that nanotechnology is playing an immense role in today biomedical science, and even the US federal authority have provided more than 1.4 billion funding for the National Nanotechnology Initiative, which confirms the importance of nanotechnology. Nanotechnology has attracted a huge attention around the world. According to a recent report by Forbes, nanotechnology is one of the fifth biggest growth technology to watch over the coming decades. So, as a result of this growing interest, a thorough discussion on the currently approved nanomedicine we have to summarize here. So there have been many different articles and review papers are available from the library or reputed library. Although about 100 nanomedicines have been approved by the FDA, and there has not been sufficient description of the current market trend in this field are available. And the most recent nanomedicine agent at the market trends along with the major challenges of conventional drug delivery system are addressed, and the most important advantage and disadvantage of nanotechnology in pharmaceutical applications, the common nanocarrier, which are used for medical applications, the only commercialized nanomedicine, and the global market size of the nanopharmaceuticals are reviewed, and the current market trend and the challenges on the way of nanomedicine to enter the market are discussed in this lecture. And nanotechnology, play a significant role in the field of medicine and drug delivery, and mainly due to the major limitations and problem that are affected conventional pharmaceutical agent and older formulations and delivery system. So one of the important problem of conventional drug delivery system is the difficulty is removing the residual part of such a system, thus leaving non-biodegradable material within the body, which can cause some kind of toxicity. And likewise, most of the conventional drug delivery system have a high initial burst of drug released immediately after drug administration, and moreover, the drug solubility in conventional drug delivery system tend to be slow. So, pharmaceuticals can be promising solution for this problem. And in comparison with the conventional drug delivery system, drug administration using nanoparticles has several advantages. Okay, over conventional drug delivery system. Okay, so nanoparticles are much smaller than the basic material unit of conventionally formulated drug, that attaching small molecule or therapeutic agent to these small nanocarrier will form overall nanodrug, and nanoformulation of drug is one strategy to deliver pharmaceutical agent more precisely to the targeted tissue and reduce the overall dose and potentially toxic side effect, and the enhanced permeability and retention effect can allow passive targeting and accumulation of nanosized drug at malignant tumor site. Okay, and nanoside formulation in comparison with a conventional microside formulation leads to an increased active concentration and bioavailability of the pharmaceutical agent or active agent, and nanoparticles demonstrate better safety and efficacy. And nanodrug can be far cheaper than conventional therapy as it utilizes less amount of dose and sufficient less amount of dose sufficient to produce significant efficacy. And drug release can occur at constant rate over the desired time scale. So there are so many benefits of use of nanomedicine in the field of diagnostics and therapeutics. So there are various challenges on the way of using nanoparticles in drug delivery system. One of the most important goal in pharmaceutical research is the synthesis or discovery of new chemical entities with a minimal side effect and maximum clinical benefits. So to improve the biological system interaction and reduce the non-specific toxicity, and particularly to the brain toxicity, and drug targeting using nanoparticles offer several advantages. and even the development of nano carrier based on biocompatible and biodegradable polymer has led to a wide application of nanoparticles in drug delivery system. And even another important challenge facing during drug delivery system while use of biotechnology, the difficulty in their synthesis using conventional physicochemical method. Moreover, according to a number of reports, the chemical synthesis of nanoparticles can be relatively expensive and potentially toxic reagent might be used for the chemical synthesis, which can have possible environmental hazard and requirement for safe disposal. And even the path for laboratory to marketplace in neuroscience has an intrinsically high level of risk due to the fragility, instability, and reactivity of nanoscale material. So additionally, nanomaterials are more complex to engineer in comparison with bulk material, so their production and storage could be more complicated and expensive. And efficiently in reaching to the target site, target places which are usually far away from the administration site, the controlled delivery of drug within a predictable and limited time scale, and control metrics or polymer degradation, the possibility for simultaneous detection and imaging and design of smart drug release system are additional major challenges for nanoparticle use in the drug delivery system. Okay, so even there are rule to go to therapeutic agent or drug delivery system like drug like molecule tend to be water insoluble and have a moderately lipophilic in character. Therefore, poor drug solubility is considered as a major challenge facing conventional drug delivery system. So, by producing particle in the nanometer scale, the surface to volume ratio is increased, and consequently, the dilution rate of drug also increased, and higher bioavailability is obtained. Okay, and even nowadays, many researchers have applied different types of nanomaterials to develop to improve efficiency and biocompatible therapeutic carrier, and some common nanocarrier are their applications of various types of nanoparticles we have to discuss in this lecture. So, first of all, we have to discuss about what are the development of in field of pharmaceuticals. So, currently, the time scale for a drug to enter the market after its initial discovery development may take up to 2 decades. And among other consideration, there should be sufficient skilled scientific and medical personnel willing to spend a decade or two of their lives on one single project. So the fundamental scientific premises should be a novel with appropriate intellectual property protection, and the economic business plan need to convince the investor about future profit, and market need should be properly evaluated, and profit risk ratio should be high enough, and the distribution and shelf life of therapeutic agent need to be clarified as well. And some key steps along the way, including intellectual property, technical issue, general cost, and also the ethics and regulatory affair of the matter are briefly discussed in the today's discussion. So, in order to decrease the risk of failure, it is important to exploit expert market evolution to assess the market need and opportunity. Okay? So, from laboratory to market, during all stages of drug discovery and commercialization process, it is very important to file patent to protect the intellectual property of inventors and company, and also save money and time from being wasted in lawsuit or even losing a legal case, and even considering the long time it will take to gain regulatory or approval of drug, passing the required clinical trials, and finally introducing a new pharmaceutical to the market. The allow 20-year period depending on the country of a patent protection, and differentiate the period of commercial exclusivity to 12 year or less. Therefore, the time available to make profit for the company is sometimes too short to risk the necessary resources, and this issue need to be addressed by the authority, especially taking into account the additional complications of nanopharmaceuticals, considering ethical issues and also economic impact of clinical trials on the total cost of developing nanopharmaceuticals. So the issue of preclinical in vivo test on animal and human clinical trials, the period of market exclusivity should be extended. Okay? If we talk about the techniques, so the larger company are better equipped to take a drug from lab bench to marketplace, and scientists conduct the and engineers devise the manufacturing process, and lawyers will take the responsibility for filing and defending patent, and funding is provided by the shareholders, and existing profit stream from already marketed drug. And furthermore, the research carried out on nanomaterials may only take a small share of the entire investment of this company. So this is a major problem, and the risk for loss is corresponding lower. And by contrast, in a small startup company, the budget for the whole process mentioned here might be limited, and the inadequate resource may prohibited these smaller company from undertaking costly nanopharmaceutical project, and forcing them to seek other project and opportunities. And these startup companies are often associated with academic laboratories where the initial stage of the research are funded by government grants, so the overall cost can be lower. However, big pharma company can also take the advantages of government funding, especially for orphan disease. And even in some cases, large company acquire these smaller company which are developing new nanoformulation, thus allowing these scientists the funding for their next project in exchange of making profit in shorter time. And even it may not be possible for the nanopharmaceutical industry to lower quality in order to save cost. Even substantial money and time need to be spent to provide appropriate quality assurance in the pharmaceutical market. And if we talk about the cost, so the cost over the lifetime of any new drug consisting of time and money of the original idea, and preclinical research and funded by the government and tax payers to the industrial development, and the value of death, which include the period of highest expenses for human clinical trials, and finally getting regulatory approval in the phase of commercialization and marketing has to be started. And in a recent study carried out by researcher, uh, Intibas reported that getting all the way the profitable phase, excluding advertising and special marketing expenses, need about 3,000 million US dollar approx. Okay, so this include 1,395 million for development of an approved product, of which the clinical trials phase cost around 1,000 to 700 million dollar, and taking into account the long time it takes to market a product, the relevant patent that could expire in inflation and discount rate make it cost to become high, and the post-marketing research cost to improve the drug can be combined with the cost for the next pharmaceuticals in the pipeline. So it is important to remember that the high cost include those for projects that are abandoned at any stage of the process. So even it has also been found that the estimate may be seen to be biased and may have been multiplied many times in order to justify the elevated drug prices to consuming public. Okay? So if we talk about the ethics, the ethics of nanopharmaceuticals go hand in hand with the regulatory framework and the safety profile and potentially toxic effect of nanomaterials, which in many cases are not fully understood, making worse condition. And the important factor is the evolution of the risk-benefit ratio. And the evolution of the risk-benefit ratio has its own issue since there is no framework or clear guideline for the assessment of these nano pharmaceuticals. And thus decisions are necessary based on unclear foundation and difficult to calculate risk for each specific case and for each type of patient. Since most human clinical trials, especially for cancer, are carried out on patients with adverse disease, and usually no other alternative therapy is there. So these trials may have no beneficial effect and may even be harmful to the patient, and therefore it is important for the trial conductor to fully explain the procedure and not to raise the hope of the patient unjustifiably. And despite some stakeholders are ambivalent about mentioning the word nano, it is crucial for the sake of patient and confidence to inform them about the presence of nanoparticles in the treatment. Even even if the likelihood of signing the consent form is put in jeopardy, and the overall ethical concept for these pharmaceutical trials remain the same as any other new therapy to be clinically tested. So it is obligation of the regulatory agency to assess the benefits risk ratio, but since the patient finally choose whether to take the risk or not, okay, so it is recommended that data safety monitoring committee, stakeholders, experts outside the government also advise these agency, and care must be taken not to give into public presence that is over caution. Okay, and about the possible danger of nanopharmaceuticals and prohibit the development of these agents altogether. And it is not just the safety of patients themselves that matter, but also safety of anyone in contact with the nanomaterials such as workers, family members should be limited and ethically addressed. Okay? And regulation for approving nanopharmaceuticals. Okay. So until recently, the FDA has had not published any specific guidance document for nanopharmaceuticals. However, in August 2016, a document addressing general regulation for all nanomaterial products related to cosmetics, food ingredients, animal feedstuff was issued. Since the FDA is not yet entirely convinced that nanopharmaceuticals behave very differently from other small molecule drugs, and definite guidance has not yet been issued. And on the contrary, scientists believe that nanosized material are not only different from the same bulk material in size and surface area, but particularly in the case of therapeutics, they also differ in biodistribution, toxicity, and pharmacokinetics and excretion profile is totally different as compared to the bulk counterparts. So one of the problem for pharmaceutical is the fact that since such materials behave differently in various environments, and current testing methods are not able to give clear answer to the above question. And this makes it difficult for companies which are required to fully test their novel pharmaceuticals before applying for approval. Okay? So each pharmaceutical agent should be evaluated for its ultimate application. So we talked about the nano crystals. So nano crystals are defined as the crystals at least one dimension less than 100 nanometer, and nanocrystalline pharmaceuticals that are currently available in the market are like amend. Okay, so amend is the nanocrystalline form of anti-emetic drug. Aprepitant, okay, that approved by the FDA in 2003. Okay, and another formulation is Ostin. And Ostin is a nanocrystalline paste of calcium hydroxyapatite with a crystal of 20 nanometer diameter approved by the FDA. Okay, in 2004. And another nanocrystal is Rapamune. And Rapamune with the generic name Sirolimus is known as the first nanocrystalline type drug that approved by FDA in 2010. And another is Butos, and Butos is a best-selling synthetic bone graft substitute composed of 100 nanometer beta tricalcium phosphate approved by FDA in 2003, and retailing, also known as methyl phenidate, received its FDA approval in 1955 for the treatment of hyperactivity disorder in children, and Tricor it was approved in 2004 in order to reduce triglyceride and cholesterol level to prevent the development of atherosclerosis by reducing plaque on the inner wall of artery, which can lead to stroke and heart attack. And next one is liposome and lipid-based nanopharmaceuticals. So liposome nanoformulated drug are recognized to be some of the most successful commercial drug delivery systems that have been developed to overcome the side effects of many conventional drugs. For example, liposome formulation of doxorubicin, okay, has made a great impact on the treatment of cancer and has huge benefit for pharmaceutical company. Okay, for example, is doxil. So, doxil is a type of nanodrug used for the treatment of different cancer, ranging from metastatic ovarian cancer to AIDS-related Kaposi sarcoma. Okay, and donozone is liposomal donorubicin is another anthracycline anti-cancer drug which can be used in cancer and HIV-associated Kaposi sarcoma as a chemotherapeutic drug. And Onivide also is a liposomal nanoformulation of irinotecan, which was approved by FDA in 2015 for treatment of metastatic pancreatic cancer. And another one is deposite. Deposite was approval under the accelerated approval revolution in 1999, and it is a liposomal formulation of cytarabine, which is manufactured using depot form and approved by FDA from 2007 to treat life-threatening disease called lymphomatous meningitis. And another drug is morphine, and morphine is liposome vincristine sulfate. Okay, was approved by FDA in 2012, and vincristine is an anti-cancer alkaloid that binds to a tubulin and interfere with cell division. And another is M-Visom, which is an antifungal agent administered for treatment of broad-spectrum fungal pathogen. Okay, Vioxx is a donorubicin and cytarabine encapsulated liposome that was approved by FDA in 2017 for treatment of adults suffering from acute myeloid leukemia caused by previous therapy. Okay, and Ablaset is another lipid complex known as Ablaset. Okay, which is used for treatment of leishmanias and fungal infection. And Visinline received FDA approval in 2001 for treatment of choroidal neovascularization. Okay. Now, some of the example of polymer-based nanopharmaceuticals. So, today polymeric nanoparticles have made great strides forward in applications for drug and gene delivery. And functional polymer can be used for encapsulation of therapeutic agent in the area of commercial nanopharmaceuticals, and polyethylene glycolated drug and protein conjugate have shown a major improvement over their non-polyethylene glycolated counterpart. Okay, and some of the examples are like Syngea, with the Syngea approved in 2008, and it is a polyethylene glycolated blocker of tumor necrosis factor. And another is Edagan. And Edagan approved in a 1990 as the first polyethylene glycolated formulated protein on the market. And Neulasta. was approved by FDA in 2002 with the generic name PEGylated, and is a common adverse effect found in the patient with non-myeloid cancer who receive chemotherapy. And on Caspar, uh, approved by FDA in 1994, and this agent is used to treat acute lymphoblastic leukemia and PEG gas, approved by FDA in 2002, and it is a recombinant human alpha 2 alpha interferon, which is converted to branch polyethylene glycol, is used for the treatment of hepatitis C, and somaroid, used for the treatment of acromegaly, which was received FDA approval in 2003, and mercuzin is an ocular therapeutic agent and released in the market by Pfizer company, and this drug administered for the rare to neovascular form of age-related muscular degeneration. So these are the various agents that could be used or marketed already. Now, protein-based nanopharmaceuticals. So, so protein-based nanopharmaceuticals like Abraxane, approved by FDA for treatment of metastatic breast cancer, lung cancer, and metastatic pancreatic adenocarcinoma in 2013, and Beckley's taxol interferes with cellular mitosis by shifting the equilibrium between tubulin dimer C tubules in favor of microtubules, and then preventing microtubules depolarization, hence decreasing the concentration of tubulin and interference with microtubule dynamics by paclitaxel affect the ability to of cancer cell to properly assemble a mitotic skeleton, pass the metaphase, anaphase, okay, and checkpoint and undergo mitosis is another drug which paclitaxel is the active agent which was approved in 1998 and show good result for cancer therapy. Okay, and another one is metal-based nanopharmaceuticals. So today metal-based nanoparticles have a vast array of application in drug and gene delivery and diagnosis. Okay. So the commercial product of iron oxide-based nanoparticles used as a contrast agent for MRI. Okay, and the product is ferrahene. Okay, and this was approved by the FDA in 2009. It is an intravenous drug formulation with a neutral pH for treatment of anemia. Okay. Now we have to discuss some points regarding market investigation. This is essential part uh, of the nano pharmaceuticals. So the nanopharmaceuticals market can be considered to spread throughout a diverse region of the world. Therefore, assessing the market size in non-Americans and non-European countries with really supplied official statistics is not an easy task. But as with many other medical products, the USA is the largest producer and consumer of nanopharmaceuticals, and the global knowledge market size generally have a high added value compared with traditional pharmaceuticals. And this combined with a variable and often contradictory definition of exactly what constitute nanotechnology and nanopharmaceuticals in different countries and varying assessment by scientific and regulatory authority makes it hard to estimate accurate data on the global nanomedicine market. Okay, and for the market to grow even further, this issue should be addressed and social impact should be evaluated. And considering the high price of nanomaterials and nanomaterials intermediates, serious analysis of the cost effectiveness and the required purchasing power of nation with a centralized healthcare system and a nation with private market healthcare system should be undertaken. and market trend based on the academic research laboratory are constantly making advances in nanomedicine. And the question arises to what extent these discoveries yet in issue patent that can be licensed or existing or new startup or company has to be established. And the ever increasing cost of pharmaceutical development mean that not all advances in the drug delivery can necessarily be advanced to get in approved medicine. And even it is clear that medical care represent an increasing proportion of gross domestic product in most developed countries, and it is cost effective and patient friendly to diagnose and treat patient in the shortest time and in the least invasive way possible. Another major trend to has emerged in recent years has been termed personalized medicine, and discoveries in genetics and proteomics have revealed that individual patients apparently suffering from the same disease at the same stage of advancement can in reality be very difficult, and nanopharmaceuticals will have a great role to play personalized medicines, not only will the particular drug, patient dose and administration schedule be adjusted according to the result of generic and proteomic analysis, but the precise nanoformulation may also be uh, focused on according to laboratory test and biomarker, and company like Cerulean Pharma and other initiated this movement. Okay, and nanomedicine in the face of market failure. So what are the complications? So the conventional pharmaceutical industry has experienced some major disaster over the years. Like thalidomide was perhaps the first to come to public awareness, and thalidomide was first marketed in 1957 under the brand name contagion as a sedative. And the disaster occurred when it was used to mitigate morning sickness in pregnant women. So shortly after the drug began to market in West Germany between 5,000 and 700 infants were born with malfunction of the limb, and throughout the world about 10,000 cases were reported of infants with phocomedia due to thalidomide. Only 50% of the 10,000 survived, and another major reaction was the Vioxx scandal involved non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are divided into the non-specific non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs that inhibit both COX-1 and COX-2 marker, while there are also COX-2 specific non-steroidal drugs. Okay, so there was another COX-2 inhibitor on the market called Rofecoxib, but in 2004 it was pulled from the market by Merck amid a lawsuit and blamed for causing between 88,000 and 1,39,000 heart attacks, and 30 to 40% of which were fatal, and the total settlement costs were excess of $5 billion. The so-called Vioxx scandal has tainted the whole subject of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug as a therapeutic agent. Okay, and even there are also too many challenges on the way to market. So even though there has been a huge number of reports and studies related to nanoformulation of the drug, only a handful of such nanosystems have progressed to market related to assessment, and again and even after a smaller handful have received final approval. So based on some report, the translation of basic science to clinical applications has been less than 10%. Therefore, drug passing through what is known as valley of death seems not to be easy. This can lead to a life, even time-consuming, expensive, ineffective series of investigation, which escalates healthcare cost as a whole. Okay. So the reason for such an undesirable state of affair probably lie in different area of aspect of the process, and one of the main challenges concern the in vivo behavior of nanoparticles, which is likely to be very different from their in vitro behavior, and cellular interaction, tissue transportation, diffusion, biocompatibility are the main issue, which need to be thoroughly investigated using different animal models. And conducting these experiments to sufficient proof of efficacy and safety is not easy or cheap. So even another challenge, especially for tumor targeting nanoformulation, is the complexity and heterogeneous nature of the tumor and different between different tumor with regard to gene expression profile, molecular pattern, and degree of their resistance could hinder the penetration. So there are difficulty could lead to the unsuccessful clinical trials is there. So it was finally concluded that the currently marketed nanomedicines include nanocrystal, liposome, lipid nanoparticles, PEGylated polymeric nanodrug, protein-based nanoparticles, metal nanoparticles. Okay. A range of issues must be addressed in the development of these nanostructure and ethics, market size, possibility of market failure, cost and commercial development are some topics which must be considered and focused on after passing all the ethical and biological assessment and satisfying the investor as to future profitability. Only a handful these nanoformations are likely to become successful and profitable medicine. Okay. So in the recent years, the rising cost of healthcare has been a worrying concern for most of the developed and even developing countries. To maximize cost efficiency, it is critical that government acquire a deeper understanding of cost effectiveness of nanopharmaceuticals. Okay, this is the reference. Now you have to attempt to quiz. So the first question is crystalline particle produced by different methods such as polymering, high pressure, homogenization, and precipitation process is called. Okay, so the other question is nanocrystals. So another question is nanomaterials can be prepared as a nanosphere or nanocapsule by different methods such as nanoprecipitation, double emulsification, polymer coating, and emulsification diffusion. Okay, so these are the polymeric nanoparticles and synthetic vesicles formed from lipid bilayer, which are divided into two groups, unilamellar and multilamellar, able to dissolve both water soluble and liquid soluble drug at the same time. Okay, so this is a lipoform. And nanosystem can respond to external magnetic field in a nano scale size. It's called magnetic nanoparticles. Okay. And spherical amphiphilic copolymer nanoparticles formed by supramolecular assembly having a core shell structure with hydrophobic interior separated from the exterior. Okay, so this is magnetic nanoparticles. And polyhemoglobin fibrinogen produced by using. Okay, so this can be produced by using mycelium. Okay, thank you.